Good morning, students. I am Letecia T, Rebajo, your teacher for today's class. So I will be discussing the importance of securing family and preparing for response. Before I will start my discussion, let's have a prayer first. Okay, may I have a volunteer to do our prayer? Okay, Miss Alexa, you raise your hand. Please lead the prayer, please. Thank you so much, Miss Alexa, for leading the prayer. To formally start my discussion class, let's all know the learning objectives of my discussion. First, we will be able to learn the Family Preparedness Plan discussion. Second, we will be able to know the Family Emergency Plan situations. Third, we will be able to take actions that need to be taken prior to, during, and following a disaster. And fourth, the importance of family preparedness. We will all know that. Okay, so that's my learning objectives, class. Family preparedness. An important facet to family safety is having a plan and being prepared in case of an emergency strikes. Disasters strike in every corner of the world, during every season, and on different scales throughout the year. Preparing yourself together with your family for all types of emergencies is very important. Families may not be together when disaster strikes, so it is important to plan in advance how they will contact one another, how they will get back together, and what they might do in different situations. Being educated about disasters and how they affect youth and adults, developing a plan, practicing the implementation of the plan in authentic and organized ways, and ensuring you have supplies to support your family in the moment of an emergency. Preparedness must now account for man-made disasters as well as natural ones. Knowing what to do during an emergency is an important part of being prepared and may make all the difference when seconds count. Family preparedness planning can enhance community readiness and reduce the impact of disasters by expediting recovery in the aftermath of unpreventable catastrophes. So I have listed here the different plan that a family must do in occurrence of any catastrophes. So the first plan would be gather information. So this plan includes the following. You need to know first what disaster or hazards are most likely occur in your community and for your home. So of course, you need to know the disasters or hazards that most likely happen in your place so that you will be able to know and you will be able to familiarize those hazards that most likely to happen. And next, you need to know how would you be warned to the people that would rescue your family and of course yourselves. So you need to know how would you be warned. And lastly, you should know or how should you prepare for each. So these words, it means that you need to assign each of your members to do something or to do some certain task at the time of a disaster would strike. Okay? Next plan, the second plan would be know the warning signals in your area. Of course, this is one of the important plan that you need to do together with your family. Learn the warning systems for your community and be sure you can hear or see the appropriate warning from your home. So of course, it's very essential for you to know the warning signals in your area. It's because it is very easy for you to escape in a certain disaster or an emergency because you already familiarize the different warning signals in your area. So it wouldn't be difficult for you to escape or to go to another place because you already know the warning signals. The third plan would be obtain insurance for your family and home. Check your homeowner's insurance and get additional coverage for situations that may not be covered. Fourth plan would be stay alert for emergency broadcasts. So being alert in times of an emergency, you need to have an emergency alert system broadcasts like radio, TV, and any other broadcasting system. Weather radio alerts from NOAA and news sources from radio, television, gadgets through the use of internet, and of course as well as newspapers must be included. The fifth plan would be choose a post-hazard meeting for your family. So of course in planning, you need to gather your family and have a meeting, and make sure to have to include a safe distance from your home for sudden emergencies. Outside your neighborhood in case you can't return home, and learn where the area of evacuation shelters are located together with your family, so it would be easy for you in the moment of a disaster. You already planned together your family and you already know the area of evacuation shelters. It's very accessible and it's very easy for you to go to the evacuation shelters. The sixth plan would be make a family communication plan. So this is very essential, students, because having a communication plan during a disaster, it's very accessible and it's very important because you will know how to contact each other. If you are at work, school, or other location, then you will know your other members in your family will be safe or needs help in that certain emergency. So you need to also have an out-of-state friend or relative serves as an emergency contact for everyone to call, and keep a list of emergency phone numbers including neighborhood contacts, and of course give emergency numbers to all family members and post by every phone. So the seventh plan would be make a family emergency supply kit. You may need to survive on your own, students, like temporarily until you can get assistance. So prepare a kit with 3 or more days of supply. So it is very significant to have a family emergency supply kit for you to be able to survive in a certain emergency occurrence. Disasters can happen anytime, so it's important to be prepared. Having a ready go bag to quickly grab before evacuating instead of taking time to assemble the essentials can make all the difference in emergency situations. But what are the items that you should definitely have on your go bag or emergency kit? Survival kits should have the supplies and tools to provide the basic protection against the elements, must health and first aid needs, and signal to rescuers. So what should be placed in an emergency supply kit? We will all know this, class. Okay? First, we have the first aid kit. Our emergency bag should have a first aid kit. First up, it's important to have a first aid kit that can allow you to treat possible injuries and prevent infections even without immediate access to a clinic or hospital. This should contain band-aids for small wounds, gauze, and medical tape for larger cuts, tweezers to remove glass shards or foreign particles from wounds, small scissors, alcohol wipes to sanitize, and an instant ice pack. So that would be inside of a first aid kit. Second, that should be included in an emergency kit should have a food supply, where this should contain canned goods, noodles, or any other food that's ready to eat. Third, we have flashlight and extra batteries. Of course, this should be included, It's not unusual to have no electricity during emergency situations. So a flashlight is definitely handy, enabling for you to find your way during a blackout or under debris. Fourth, radio should be included as well. Cell sites can be down during disasters, so it helps to have a radio that can keep you updated on relief and rescue efforts. Fifth, bottled water must be included also. Having a bottled water is very useful when water supply runs out or just limited. Sixth, the must included in an emergency kit is a whistle. Getting trapped under debris is a very real possibility during fires or earthquakes. So having a whistle to call rescuers attention to your location can make the difference between life and death. Seventh, we have extra clothes. Of course, it is useful in both hot and wet conditions. So 8 things that you need to be included in your emergency kit is toiletries. This is an emergency kit that you need to have during a disaster where you have toothbrush, toothpaste, anything that would for your sanitation. So it's very important, the toiletries. Do not forget this to your emergency kit. The ninth thing that you need to include in your emergency supply kit is a rope and a knife. This is useful when there's a certain situation where a knife is very useful, and a rope, of course. It could help others and it could help yourself in times of a disaster. The 10th thing that you need to include in your emergency supply kit is a bag of medicine, where most of the time where we could not really deny that in terms of an emergency, we might have a fever, of course, or vomiting and any other disease that we might catch during a disaster. So of course, having a medicines inside your emergency supply kit is very essential, because having a fever, so it's very accessible for you to have medicine. You wouldn't have a problem anymore because you already have your medicines inside your emergency supply kit. Next is we have matches and lighters. So it's very useful, matches and lighters, to have a fire, because during an emergency times we wouldn't know if we cannot create fire. So it's very important and essential for us to have a matches and lighters inside our emergency supply kit. And the last would be extra cash. So of course, it's better to have a spare of extra cash inside your emergency supply kit, because we will always be needing a cash in times of a disaster or an emergency. Okay, did you all get it, class? The different things that you should be placed in an emergency supply kit. Okay, thank you so much for responding. Now we will continue to the 8th plan. Share the mentioned information with your family. So as what I have mentioned earlier, the different plan from 1st to 7th, you need to meet with all your members of your household, discuss the types of hazards that could occur, and discuss your family's plan. And of course, importantly, you need to practice your plan together with your whole family, so it wouldn't be difficult for you to perform it during a disaster or an emergency, because you already practice it. Okay, did you get it? Okay, thank you so much for responding. So now, I will be discussing the family emergency plan situations. So first, I have only 2 here that you need to take note. First is we have shelter in place. So take immediate shelter wherever you are, whether you are home, work, school, or in between, rather than entering into a hazardous situation. And used for situations such as severe storms, weather, and biological emergencies. Time will vary few hours to several days. So this shelter in place, this means that you need to know a shelter place for your family, because you already have a plan to have a shelter that would be safe for your home, for your whole family members. So the other one is the evacuation. So leaving your current location and seeking shelter at a safer place. For situations such as flood or chemical accidents, and time will vary days, weeks, it may be never for some situations, of course. So evacuation place, you need to plan this in your family, because you already plan that if the situation might got worse, so going to an evacuation is a very must plan for your whole family. The destruction of your house, the destruction of your other properties, you will never gonna think all of it, because all you need to think is the safetyness of your whole family members. So choose to evacuate together with your family members. That's the best thing that you need to plan to your whole family. So now let's answer the questions about the family preparedness. So why is it important to have a family preparedness plan? Because being prepared can reduce fear, anxiety, and losses that accompany disasters. Communities, families, and individuals should know what to do in the event of any disasters. Preparing yourself together with your family for all types of emergencies is very significant, so you can increase your personal sense, security, and peace of mind, and to know you will be ready in case of an emergency. When an emergency strikes, knowing what to do can save time, property, and most of all, lives. To end my discussion, I have a quote here from Petra Nimkova. She quoted that we cannot stop natural disasters, but we can arm ourselves with knowledge. So many lives wouldn't have to be lost if there was enough disaster preparedness. Do you have any questions, class? Did you get my discussion, or do I need to elaborate more? If you would like, may I hear anyone here to raise your questions or clarifications with regards to my discussion? So I guess it's really nice to know that you all get it. Thank you so much for listening and for participating as well in my discussion, in my class for today. So before we leave, or before we end our meeting for today, may I have a volunteer to do a prayer for our closing prayer? Okay, may I have who is it raising your hand? Miss Roxanne. Okay, Miss Roxanne, please lead our closing prayer. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, thank you so much for attending my class today, students. I hope that you learned a lot from my discussion. Thank you so much. Until we meet again. Goodbye.